Two airports sit 200 kilometers apart on the Pacific Northwest coast. One is Seattle-Tacoma, moving 52 million passengers a year, the busiest airport in the region for 75 years. The other is Vancouver International, at just 27 million passengers, about half of Seattle's size. By total volume, this shouldn't even be a competition. But in March 2026, something happened at Vancouver that hadn't happened in the airport's 94-year history. For the first time ever, Vancouver's Asia-Pacific traffic matched its U.S. transborder traffic, 447,000 passengers to Asia, the same number heading to the United States. The trend was even sharper. Asia-Pacific traffic was up 19.6% year-over-year. U.S. traffic was down 6%. Meanwhile, 200 kilometers south, Seattle's international ambitions were falling apart. Delta relaunched Hong Kong service in June 2026, but not from Seattle. They moved it to Los Angeles. Alaska Airlines only started long-haul flying in 2025. Seattle's total passenger growth was essentially flat. Two airports, one growing fast in the highest value market on Earth, one plateauing at its physical ceiling. This is the story of how Vancouver quietly overtook Seattle in the one market that actually matters for the next decade of American aviation, while Seattle wasn't paying attention.
Look at the actual routes each airport offers and the picture gets clearer. Vancouver flies non-stop to 14 East and Southeast Asian destinations. Seattle flies non-stop to 10. But the specific breakdown matters more than the count. Vancouver uniquely offers non-stops to Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Chengdu, Xiamen, Osaka, Sapporo, and Bangkok, plus the entire South Pacific, Sydney, Brisbane, Auckland, and Fiji. None of those are served non-stop from Seattle. Seattle offers depth rather than breadth. 4 carriers each fly to Seoul and Taipei, but it serves fewer distinct destinations. For a business traveler headed to Guangzhou or Chengdu, massive Chinese business centers, Vancouver is a non-stop. From Seattle, you connect. That single fact reshapes where corporate travel departments book flights, where cargo shipments originate, and which airport gets the higher yield passengers. 18 Asia-Pacific carriers fly to Vancouver, 13 fly to Seattle. In 2024 and 2025, Vancouver added T-Way Air, the first Korean low-cost carrier in North America, plus Zip Air, China Southern, and China Eastern. Seattle added fewer new carriers over the same period. Foreign carriers are voting with their aircraft too, and they're picking Vancouver. Then there's the physical problem Seattle cannot solve. Seattle-Tacoma is severely land-constrained. It's surrounded by cities on every side. The airport itself is hemmed in by highways and residential neighborhoods. There is no room to expand. The Port of Seattle's Sustainable Airport Master Plan targets 56 million annual passengers by 2032. That's the ceiling. That's the physical maximum they can plan for on the existing footprint. Seattle handled 52.7 million passengers in 2025. They have about 4 million passengers of growth headroom for the next 6 years. After that, they hit their wall. Vancouver has no such wall. It sits on Sea Island, a natural island with room to expand. Its long-term capital plan retains flexibility for new gates, taxiways, and cargo facilities. And Vancouver's cargo strategy is ambitious. CEO Tamara Vrooman announced a plan to double YVR's cargo volumes to 730,000 tons by 2030. Seattle actually handles more cargo tonnage today, but has no equivalent doubling roadmap. The math is unforgiving. Seattle stops growing at 56 million passengers. Vancouver keeps growing.
Here's why this matters more than just an airport rivalry. The Pacific Northwest is North America's western gateway to Asia. Trans-Pacific travel is the highest value long-haul segment in the world. Premium business fares, corporate travel, cargo for tech and manufacturing. This is where airlines make their biggest margins. For decades, Seattle owned this position. Boeing was built there. Alaska Airlines built one of the largest hub operations in America there. Delta made Seattle a trans-Pacific gateway starting in 2012. Seattle was supposed to be the West Coast answer to San Francisco and Los Angeles as an Asian entry point. That vision is collapsing. Delta is pivoting Asian expansion to Los Angeles. Alaska is only just starting long-haul flying, with borrowed wide-bodies from Hawaiian Airlines, targeting 12 international destinations by 2030. Meanwhile, Air Canada has spent 5 years building Vancouver into a Pacific fortress with 13 Asian destinations across its network, and Vancouver-Hong Kong alone is one of the busiest routes in the entire airline. Seattle bet on domestic dominance. Vancouver bet on Asia. Right now, one bet is paying off. The real story isn't the passenger numbers, it's what Air Canada has been building for the last 5 years, and what Delta and Alaska failed to build at Seattle over the same period.
Air Canada calls Vancouver North America's second-largest Pacific gateway, after Los Angeles, and it operates YVR like a genuine fortress. The scale is impressive. Air Canada serves a record 13 Asian destinations across its network in 2026. It flies nearly 4,000 monthly trans-Pacific flights. It uses only Boeing wide-bodies on Asian routes, no narrow-bodies, no compromises. Vancouver-Hong Kong is its single busiest Asian route, with 366 one-way departures planned in 2026. The route list is remarkable. Hong Kong, Tokyo Narita and Haneda, Osaka, Seoul, Shanghai, Beijing resumed in January 2025 after years of absence. Manila, Singapore launched in April 2024. Bangkok, and in December 2026, Air Canada opens the only non-stop flight in all of North America to Sapporo, Japan, 3 times a week on a Boeing 787. Compare that to Seattle. Delta's Seattle International operation is smaller than it was 10 years ago. In October 2018, Delta stopped flying Hong Kong from Seattle. In June 2026, Delta finally relaunched Hong Kong from Los Angeles, not Seattle. They also announced Manila from LAX starting in March 2027. The message is clear. Seattle is not the Asian hub they thought it would be. LA is. Alaska Airlines is trying to fill the gap. In 2025, they launched their first long-haul routes, Seattle to Tokyo Narita in May, Seattle to Seoul in September. They're using wide-bodies acquired from Hawaiian Airlines through the merger. Their stated goal is 12 international destinations from Seattle by 2030. That's an ambitious plan, but Alaska has zero experience with wide-body international operations. Air Canada has been running its Asian fortress for 5 years. The institutional experience alone is enormous. Airlines vote with their aircraft, and the aircraft are moving toward Vancouver. Look at the actual routes each airport offers, and the picture gets clearer. Vancouver flies non-stop to 14 East and Southeast Asian destinations. Seattle flies non-stop to 10. But the specific breakdown matters more than the count. Vancouver uniquely offers non-stops to Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Chengdu, Xiamen, Osaka, Sapporo, and Bangkok, plus the entire South Pacific, Sydney, Brisbane, Auckland, and Fiji. None of those are served non-stop from Seattle. Seattle offers depth rather than breadth. 4 carriers each fly to Seoul and Taipei, but it serves fewer distinct destinations. For a business traveler headed to Guangzhou or Chengdu, massive Chinese business centers, Vancouver is a non-stop. From Seattle, you connect. That single fact reshapes where corporate travel departments book flights, where cargo shipments originate, and which airport gets the higher yield passengers. 18 Asia-Pacific carriers fly to Vancouver, 13 fly to Seattle. In 2024 and 2025, Vancouver added T-Way Air, the first Korean low-cost carrier in North America, plus Zip Air, China Southern, and China Eastern. Seattle added fewer new carriers over the same period. Foreign carriers are voting with their aircraft too, and they're picking Vancouver. Then there's the physical problem Seattle cannot solve. Seattle-Tacoma is severely land-constrained. It's surrounded by cities on every side. The airport itself is hemmed in by highways and residential neighborhoods. There is no room to expand. The Port of Seattle's Sustainable Airport Master Plan targets 56 million annual passengers by 2032. That's the ceiling. That's the physical maximum they can plan for on the existing footprint. Seattle handled 52.7 million passengers in 2025. They have about 4 million passengers of growth headroom for the next 6 years. After that, they hit their wall. Vancouver has no such wall. It sits on Sea Island, a natural island with room to expand. Its long-term capital plan retains flexibility for new gates, taxiways, and cargo facilities. And Vancouver's cargo strategy is ambitious. CEO Tamara Vrooman announced a plan to double YVR's cargo volumes to 730,000 tons by 2030. Seattle actually handles more cargo tonnage today, but has no equivalent doubling roadmap. The math is unforgiving. Seattle stops growing at 56 million passengers. Vancouver keeps growing.
Before I wrap, the honest version. Seattle is not losing. Seattle is still nearly twice Vancouver's size. Alaska Airlines still runs one of the strongest hub operations in America there. Boeing is still headquartered in the region. Seattle International's international traffic did grow by 7.9% in 2025. Delta still operates dozens of daily flights, but Seattle's growth story is stalling. Vancouver's is accelerating, and in the specific market that matters most, Trans-Pacific, the direction of travel has flipped. Seattle will remain the bigger airport, but Vancouver is winning the specific game that determines who becomes the premier Asian gateway of the Pacific Northwest for the next decade. That's the crown being stolen, not total volume, Trans-Pacific dominance. Here's the way I keep thinking about this. For 75 years, Seattle-Tacoma was the Pacific Northwest's aviation king. It had Boeing, it had Alaska Airlines, it had Delta betting billions on Asian expansion. It had every structural advantage. Vancouver was the smaller Canadian neighbor, an interesting airport, but not a threat. Then Seattle stopped growing. Vancouver kept accelerating. Delta pivoted Asian flights to LA, Alaska started long-haul flying with borrowed planes, Air Canada built a Pacific fortress. Foreign carriers chose Vancouver over Seattle for new routes, and Vancouver's Asia-Pacific traffic overtook its US traffic in a single month. The change didn't announce itself. There was no press release, no dramatic moment, just quarter after quarter of Asia growing at 15% and US traffic shrinking. By 2030, if the current trajectory holds, Vancouver will be the primary Trans-Pacific gateway on the West Coast for anyone who isn't in Los Angeles. Seattle will remain a major domestic hub, profitable, well-run, essential to the West Coast, but the Asian crown will belong to Vancouver. That's a shift bigger than any single route announcement or airline strategy. That's the fundamental repositioning of a region's aviation identity, and it happened while everyone was watching the more dramatic airline stories elsewhere.